Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let's have a look on the crease option in the ZModeler. So I select the ZModeler tool from the tool brushes here, or I can press B, Z and M and then you get the ZModeler here. And in ZModeler, if I space, if I place my cursor over the polygon and then hit space bar or right click, then you get the menu and then you could choose the crease option here. But before going into the crease option, what is actually crease, I would like to explain that. When we apply any subdivision, so I'll just choose the dynamic subdivision and then apply a subdivision and then have a look on the model. It's more round here, so sometimes we may expect that to be sharp. So what we basically do is we apply some loops there. So I'm going to use the insert in the edge action and then I'm going to put some lines there. So you should be able to see I've added these 3 lines on the corner. So that lines are going to be the support lines by which I get the hard corners. So let me apply the dynamic subdivision and then you should be able to see the other side is more round, but here it's more sharp because of that 3 lines. So every time adding these kind of lines is not going to be an easy job. So what we are going to do here is I'm going to delete those edges and apply the crease instead of that. So I'm going to choose the delete and edge loop complete and then delete those lines which I've created. So let me just select the crease tool and we have this option for the single poly or any other target you would like to apply for. So when I just click there, you should be able to see a very thick line or the 3 line pattern can be seen around the faces. So one line is thick and the other 2 lines are dotted. So when I'm just clicking over the face, that face is surrounded by the crease edges there. So here I'm going to choose the polygroup eyeline and then just click here and you should be able to see the crease edges are applied all over the polygroup and then you should be able to see that's applied in the center edges and in the border edges. And we can generally control how this creasing should happen. So let me go to the modifiers and then let's see what's happening here. So the first option is the all sides, so which was the default one. Now I just click on the long side and you should be able to see the creasing is happening on the longest side and leaving the shortest edge not to be creased here. Okay. If I just choose the short sides, then you get the creasing on the short edges in comparison with the length of the longest one. So we have all sides which will crease all the faces no matter what the size of the edge is. So this creasing is done on the basis of the length of this edge surrounded the polygons. So we have all faces, which is the default one. It is creasing all the edges in the polygroup eyeline. But if I say polygroup border, so it is going to apply the crease only to the border of the polygroup here. And you should be able to see this is what I've got the result. We have a polygroup inner. It will not polygroup the outer side. It will polygroup the inner edges which are here. So let me just try on this side. So you should be able to see it's showing the creasing only in the inner sides and not touching the borders there. So we have all transitions. Again, it gives you a very similar type of control. So all transitions will give the creasing to the edges which are here and which are here. Now what's the problem here? What's the difference between this edge and this edge is the 2 faces which are there between this edge, I mean along this edge, are parallel to each other. So the angle between these 2 polygons is 0. And if I just check this polygon and this polygon, and if I see the edge which is commonly shared by these 2, the angle between these 2 faces is 90 degrees. Okay. So when I'm just applying the shallow transition, okay, and when I just click here, so this is the angle is like almost a plane here, right? And when the surface is very flat or slightly here and there, you can apply shallow transition to get the crease over there. And sharp transitions where the creases are applied where there is a drastic amount of change between these 2 faces there. So again, it ends up giving me a very similar poly border and inner, but in the inner faces also, if I move this face like that, okay, and then there is an angle issue here. So when I just apply the shallow transition, you don't see the creasing happening here, even though it is polygroup eyeline and it is inner edges. So the inner thing is applying to the center. Let me just go back to all transitions. I should be able to see this line is getting that crease, but when I say the shallow transition, it's ignoring that edges because the angle is too high here in comparison to what we have there. So we have sharp transition. Again, you get the creases only here, not on that areas. So that's the difference here between the border and the angles. So we have all targets. and we got outer targets. Okay, so it's applying only to the outer part here. So we have the inner targets, which is going to affect onto the inner side of the faces there. Let me just type or choose the brush radius and then just click there. So I've taken the cube with the subdivisions of 15 here, and then I've changed the brush radius option here, and then I just click here, and you should be able to see all the creases are affected here, and this is the target area. And if I just click all targets, it's covering the border and the inner lines. And then when I say outer targets, it's going to apply only the outer target. So you could majorly see it's not affecting the polygroup border, it's affecting the targets, which are basically, like in this case, the brush radius. We also have the creasing applied to the outer edges and the inner edges. This works only when you have border. So let me just go to the delete option and then delete those faces there. Okay, now when I just select the creasing, and then you should be able to see it's affecting all the edges here. Let me just also change the target to polygroup island. Okay, now let me just select the outer edges. So it is going to affect only the border here, so it's not touching that out. I mean, if you could see, it's not affecting that on the polygroup border, but it's affecting only on the whole border. Okay, so if I say inner edges, it will crease all the edges, leaving that border there. So that's the difference between the outer edges and the outer targets. So creasing is a very quick way to sharpen the edges, especially used in hard surface modeling. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, hit a like button, and if you got any questions regarding this video, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I request you to subscribe my channel. Thank you.